Hello and welcome back to World 360. What is the UK's exclusive fighter jet alliance that Saudi Arabia is keen to join? Is India's reputation as the world's pharmacy once again in question over cough syrup-related deaths in the Gambia? We answer these and more in today's episode. First up, the UK's fighter jet alliance, also known as the Global Combat Air Programme or the Tempest Alliance. Last December, the UK, Japan and Italy agreed to jointly develop sixth-generation fighter jets that could include hypersonic weapons capable of traveling at Mach 5 or almost 6,000 kilometers per hour. Now, these warplanes are expected to be developed by 2035, and the goal is to make sure all three sets of jets are interoperable, which means they will be able to exchange information and operate together. Back then, Japan's entry made quite a splash given it was the first time the Asian nation agreed to a defense program with Europeans rather than the US. When the three nations made the announcement last year, they chose their words carefully. They said they shared values of freedom, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, and noted the need to increase military partnership in the Indo-Pacific. Of course, the elephant in the room was China. Fast forward to today, another nation is keen to join this joint program to develop next-generation fighter jets. Earlier this month, reports emerged that Saudi Arabia has asked the UK, Italy and Japan if it can join the alliance, and apparently the UK government under Rishi Sunak isn't entirely opposed to the idea. The request was reportedly made during Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's visit to Jeddah in July this year, but interestingly, it's Japan that isn't too happy about Saudi Arabia as a fourth addition. A report in Al Monitor suggests Japan's reluctance is linked to geopolitical reasons, especially at a time when Saudi Arabia seems to be warming up to China, as seen with Beijing's recent role in helping Saudi Arabia and its long-time regional foe Iran re-establish diplomatic ties. On the other hand, having an oil-rich country like Saudi Arabia, which is also one of the world's biggest defense spenders, could help the three nations with the steep costs required with such a sophisticated defense program. Let's not forget that at least two of the countries in the Tempest Alliance, Italy and the UK, have experienced recessionary trends this year that have been brought on by the Ukraine war. Furthermore, we need to look at the words used in the UK, Italy and Japan's statement last December, which mentioned freedom, democracy, human rights and the rule of law. What would it mean to allow in Saudi Arabia, a country criticized for its alleged involvement in the 2018 assassination of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, or its role in the war in Yemen? For our second topic, we're looking at how the decision of one tech company in the US potentially points to a deeper geopolitical story. Intel, a major American chipmaker and technology company, recently made a big announcement when it decided to cancel a much-anticipated takeover of a top Israeli semiconductor manufacturer called Tower Semiconductor. Now, this had been an acquisition that was a long time in the making and was estimated to be worth $4.4 billion US dollars. Reports say Intel actually paid $353 million to Tower Semiconductor to back out of the deal. Now, what does this have to do with geopolitics? Well, we look no further than the statement that comes out of Intel. They said that they did not secure approval from regulators for the acquisition on time as required under the contract. But reports indicate that the deal failed to get approval from regulators in one specific country, and that is China. Intel CEO Patrick Gelsinger's visit to China earlier this year perhaps sought to assuage Beijing's concerns, but clearly wasn't a success given the latest developments. In fact, Pat's visit to China was surprising, as he had termed the country one of Intel's most important markets at a time when the Biden administration had been pushing to limit the export of chip technology to Beijing. Not to mention, the US has tightened export controls in recent months, is pushing domestic chip manufacturing, and is trying its level best to limit China's access to advanced chips. Now, this recent debacle with Intel seems to indicate that China, specifically its antitrust regulator, is scuttling mergers involving American companies. Lest we forget, when Chinese regulators scuttled American company Qualcomm's $44 billion bid for Netherlands-based NXP Semiconductor in 2019. You may be wondering, why do these American companies need Chinese regulators to approve mergers or acquisitions? Well, usually such approval is needed when China accounts for a significant share of that company's revenue. It goes to show that any company, American or otherwise, with significant exposure to the Chinese market has to get approval from China's Ministry of Commerce for anti-monopoly review before making such big business deals. This then makes the US-China tech rivalry all that more murky. For our last topic, we're looking at India's reputation as the world's pharmacy and how it has been potentially dented by unfortunate deaths in countries across the world that import basic Indian-made drugs. The latest case is the Gambia, where around 70 children died after consuming cough syrups in late last year, made by an Indian company called Maiden Pharmaceuticals. Just last week, a court in Uzbekistan opened a trial concerning the deaths of 65 children linked to drinking Indian-made cough syrup. In this case, Indian pharmaceutical company Marion Biotech's Doc 1 Max cough syrup was in the limelight. 3 weeks ago, Indian drug manufacturer Ryman Labs was asked to halt production after its cough syrup was linked to a string of deaths among children in Cameroon. Now, this is a common pattern that seems to be bringing India's reputation as the pharmacy of the world into question. India had earned this reputation for providing quality-assured, affordable medicines to the Global South, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the World Health Organization, or the WHO, has also become more and more involved in this issue. In June, it actually named 7 Indian-based companies who are believed to be the producers of toxic syrups that are leading to the deaths of many in dozens of countries. The WHO had issued many warnings in the past, but issuing a list of companies was clearly a first. The latest warning, which came earlier this month, was over a batch of contaminated cough syrup found in Iraq. A report by British newspaper The Telegraph claimed the packaging of certain Indian-made cough syrups related to deaths in Cameroon were also false. The report said that the packaging indicated that the syrup was manufactured by a British producer called Fraken International England, but the UK health regulator said no such company exists. That said, these developments don't seem to be affecting India's pharma exports at all. A Reuters report just last month indicated that India's pharmaceutical exports are poised to grow nearly twice as fast as last year. Sales are expected to hit $27 billion, mainly due to demand in the US, the report had said. Thanks for watching. This is Pia Krishnankutty for The Print.